Shalom, giving all honor, all praise, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Rechak, Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations to the tabernacle of David, the hopeful elect, that is scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. Now, the Spirit just made me type in Clout Chaser, just do a Google search. Now, we know what it actually is, but I want to get an overview. And you'll see where it ties into what the Bible refers to in regards to clout chasing. And when you read the epistles of Paul and, his ministry, he wasn't a clout chaser. He wasn't out seeking clout. He let the power of the Holy Spirit, demonstrate, his cause and his ministry. He didn't use any type of gimmicks. He didn't try to take any type of approach, that would just garnish, attention, popularity, praise from men. None of those things. He just strictly did the work. All right. You wouldn't have found him, or even the other apostles for that matter. You wouldn't have found them, out there, surrounding, buildings, harassing people. They wouldn't have given opportunity to the adversaries to speak reproachfully. Neither any offense that the ministry be blamed. He let the teachings, all right, him, basically defending the gospel and him performing miracles. That's what did the work. That was what pulled people in. It wasn't the gimmicks. It wasn't clout chasing behavior. So this is all just to edify, of course, but I want to just go into this, and you'll see how Apostle Paul, he even addresses this spirit. All right, that the true men of the Lord are not going to come in this clout chasing spirit. All right, so let's get into it. So reading the AI overview, it says a clout chaser is someone who desperately seeks popularity and influence, often by exploiting their association with famous people or engaging in attention-grabbing, sometimes questionable behaviors, like what we just saw with IUIC. You even see when some of these guys will go out, when there's a protests going on, and the scene looks a bit rowdy, and it looked like something can an altercation can happen, or a violent clash, and you want to go and set up a camp right by all the commotion. That's an example of clout chasing. That's very questionable behavior. Burning American flags, that's questionable behavior. You're doing it for engagement. You want to grab people's attention. You want all eyes on you. All right. It says the term implies a cynical and opportunistic approach to gaining social standing, particularly on social media. You're doing it for the gram. You're doing it for Facebook, the book. And, you're hoping that you get a bunch of likes, a bunch of shares, a bunch of subscriptions, so that you can tell people, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You're looking for super chats. So a lot of these guys in Israel, spiritually, they're melting. All right. They're constantly changing. You know, the doctrine is constantly changing. It's being watered down. You know, they're a lot of the holes that are being pointed out. You know, they're trying to cover it. You know, with more clout chasing. You know, more clout chasing behavior. All right. So when you read through the scriptures, you know, this behavior is it's frowned upon. All right, and that's not, you know, this is not something that the true men of the Lord, all right, they wouldn't come in this spirit. They would be very persistent, all right, as far as their teaching. They would be very serious, meaning, you know, solemn minded. They wouldn't have any respect of persons, neither would they be seeking that from you know, any individual person. So you read further down, it says, here's a more detailed breakdown. Clout refers to power or influence. In this context, it specifically relates to social media influence and popularity. Chaser implies a relentless pursuit. It suggests a person is actively trying to gain clout, often by any means necessary. You know, you just constantly trying to, you know, fit in with new trends. You becoming a friend of the world, which the scriptures say that, you know you not that, you know, friendship of the world is enmity with the Most High. But you'll do anything to gain recognition. Like you see this guy, Captain Zaryak, you know, he's on 85 South platform. Then he's over here on that the blue couch where you see Jaguar Wright and Charleston White and all these different type of people. Now he's sitting on the couch. You know, no jumper. So he's getting them industry connects as an Israelite. So these guys are all in pursuit of you know, influence, popularity, power. None of it is sincere. None of it is of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, which is why Paul said, for they serve not our Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach, but their own bellies. Through good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple. So when you see this behavior in Israel where dudes are just doing what the hell they want to do because it garnishes attention and they attract followers, it's exposing their motives, their true intents and their motives. All right, that they're not doing this thing because they fear. Examples of clout chasing, these can include befriending famous individuals. And you see that. Getting industry connects. You know, we see you in pictures with this celebrity, that celebrity, you on this platform, that platform, solely for the purpose of being seen with them. Fabricating drama or controversy to generate attention, or posting overly sensationalized content. Yeah, clickbait titles. You know, you'll put a certain thumbnail. Yeah, man. So it's like when you play into this, you know, what is your true intent? What are your motives? A lot of these dudes are not sincere, man. And it's showing in these last days. The Lord, he's searching Jerusalem with candles. So that's why everything is coming out. And dudes are waxing worse and worse, especially their behavior. All right. So this is in the AMP, and I'm gonna start at the top. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 2. It says, "For you know, brothers and sisters, that our coming to you has not been ineffective, fruitless, in vain. But after we had already suffered and been outrageously treated in Philippi, as you know, yet in the strength of our power, we summoned the courage to proclaim boldly to you the good news of the Most High regarding salvation amid great opposition. All right. For our appeal does not come from delusion or impure motives. And when you constantly clout chasing, you're using your ministry to clout chase just to attract, followers, then your motives in this thing is not pure. All right. You're simply doing it because you want that following. You want praise. You want influence. You want gain. You want money. All right. You're divining for money. That's an impure motive. It says, nor is it motivated by deceit. Our message is complete, accurate, and based on the truth. It does not change. Now, how many of these dudes in these other groups are constantly changing, switching up the doctrine, constantly making alterations, twisting this scripture and that scripture, trying to tie them together? When you have to do that, then that's how you know it's not the truth. All right. So if you're doing that, your motives are not pure. It says, but just as we have been approved by the Most High to be entrusted with the gospel that tells the good news of salvation through faith in Hamashiach, so we speak not as if we were trying to please people. And a lot of these dudes, they water the doctrine down just to please the people. They have to dumb it down to become Broadway Israelites, because the scriptures say broad is the way and wide is the gate that leadeth to destruction, and many there be that go in thereat. They're not going to want to go through the straight gate, where it's going to be a bit more uncomfortable, more difficult. So they're whether go. A lot of our people are going to go to teachers that they seem fit based on their own desires, their own motives. A lot of people are listening to clowns like Philip, what's his name? Philip Anthony Mitchell. It's because he's of the world, and so he appeals to people of the world. He has a very theatrical, dramatic delivery when he preaches, and he says a lot of things that might sound like it's profound and persuasive, but it's really just him appealing to people's emotions. I hardly ever hear scriptures coming out of his mouth. When we supposed to speak, thus saith the Lord. Let your communication be in the law of the Most High, to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to his words, because there's no light in them. All right. So that dude, he might sound good and appeal to people that are naive and doesn't really understand. So that's why they'll choose to follow a guy like that. He's no different. He's set up. I'm pretty sure he's another gatekeeper, just like the TD Jakes and Creflo Dollars of the world. He's a new guy. He's a new gatekeeper. All right. And him, being in opposition to the Hebrew Israelites is going to motivate Jake to even gravitate more to him, because what the prophets represent. They hated the prophets. They slew their own prophets because they didn't want to hear what the prophets had to say, like it says in Isaiah, the 30th chapter. That Pam dude, he sound real smooth to these people. Isaiah 30 and verse 9, it says, I'll start at 8. It says, now go and write it before them in a table and note it in their book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever. That this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord. And they will argue you down about the law. That, we're not under the law. We don't have to keep no law because we're not under the law. We're in the faith, which that's true. We under grace, and we're going to be justified by our faith. But the law is not done away. But they don't even want to hear the law. All right, they'll call you a Pharisee for saying stop eating swine. To care for your diet. So Jake, rather you preach lawlessness, because that's what the Christian church preach, and that's more easy. So that's what part of the Broadway. People will hear that and be like, okay, I can handle that. You mean I ain't gotta have no type of restrictions? No type of moral standards. Just say that I believe and confess with my mouth. So that's our people. They show much love with their mouth, but their hearts is far from the Most High. Verse 10, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. So they want to hear us talk smooth to them. All right. Jake they'll hear you if you can make them feel you. They're not going to try you based off of what you're speaking concerning the word, because the scriptures say, try the spirit by the spirit, whether it be of the Most High. How do you do that? You listen to what we're saying, and then you go into the scriptures to see if the scriptures backs up what we're saying, or if we just speak in our own words. These false prophets and pulpit pimps, they mainly speak in their own words. All right. And that, even Peter warned as well. All right, that you're going to have false teachers among you, bringing in damnable heresies. Even denying the Lord that brought them. And they show what? They're gonna make merchandise of you. Make money off of basically deceiving you, speaking exaggerated words. So it says, get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, because the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. All right. So they usually don't want to hear the message from us. So, if you coming with the right delivery and you preaching what Jake want to hear, especially worldly Jake, they're going to gravitate and listen to you. They're going to support you against the true prophets of the Lord. Because Jake always been this way. They always been rebellious. So you seeing all these people on TikTok, voicing their opinion and disapproval against the Hebrew Israelites based on what one group did, which was definitely not in the spirit. It wasn't wise. And it was basically clout chasing. It was clout chase going wrong, because all they're getting is negative press. But now, all of Israel is being blamed based on that action. We're at the attitude where, hey, let the dead bury the dead, so to speak. He that is filthy, let him be filthy still. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. We're not finna chase down no damn Christian. It's a waste of time. Give not which is holy to the dogs, neither cast your pearl before swine. Hey, doesn't I say in Sirach 12, when you do good, know to whom you do it to? So why waste these precious jewels on the unworthy? These Christians, they're not worthy, man. So you still doing shit like this, man, is because you're clout chasing. There's another avenue for you to attract followers. And you're not attracting the sincere. These people are being entertained by these clout chasing antics. It's all entertainment, and you trying to get that social media clout up. Popularity, high numbers. And then guess what? The Most High ain't dealing with that. Let me get 1 Corinthians 1. It is 1 Corinthians 1 and verse 26, and it says, "For you see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called." So the Lord, he's not dealing with the popular, all right, the most influential. He's not using those types to gather the sheep, to build the house, the building of the Lord. Let's look up that word mighty. And the word is dunatos in the Greek. And it says able, powerful, mighty, strong, mighty in wealth and influence. All right. And certain guys in Israel are trying, this is what they're trying to gain. They want to be mighty in wealth and influence. They can't just simply, be the meek and the lowly, all right, and go for, those that are like-minded in spirit, that are contrite in spirit. So the Lord, he ain't calling these types. He doesn't want that to represent his ministry. It says, "But the Most High have chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and the Most High have chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty." Right? And the base things of the world and despise, and base things of the world and things which are despised. And you can't say that Great Millstone ain't despised. We're the most despised Israelite group in all of Israel. The things that they say about us, you couldn't tell me otherwise. But we take it in stride, man. We use that to push forward even harder. We know that we're doing something right, because the Lord said, "Woe unto you if men shall speak well of you." So did your fathers to the false prophets. It says, "Have the Most High chosen, the things which are not, to bring to naught things that are, that no flesh shall glory in his presence." All right. So the Most High ain't calling wise men after the flesh. He's not calling many mighty. All right. And when you're trying to clout chase, that's exactly what you're seeking after. You're seeking to be mighty in this world. All right. You want that influence. You want that power. All right. And you're willing to do anything to attain it. So going back in 1 Thessalonians 2 and 4, it says, "But just as we have been approved by the Most High to be entrusted with the gospel that tells the good news of salvation through faith in Yahweh Shai, so we speak, not as if we were trying to please people to gain power and popularity." In other words, as if we're trying to gain clout, we're trying to clout chase. They did not come to clout chase. They came to demonstrate the Spirit. All right. As they went and edified in the ministry. It says, "But to please the Most High, who examines our hearts, expecting our best." All right. So, the Most High, he examines the heart. He knows if your intentions are sincere, if they're pure. All right. And this word will actually expose that. Hebrews 4 and verse Hebrews 4 and 12, it says, for the word, and this is still in the Amplified Bible, it says, for the word of the Most High is living and active and full of power, making it operative, energizing and effective. It is sharper than any two-edged sword, penetrating as far as the division of the soul and spirit, the completeness of a person, and of both joints and marrow, the deepest parts of our nature, exposing and judging the very thoughts and intentions of the heart. All right. And that, the Most High, he ponders the heart. So a lot of you dudes in this thing, man, you don't think that, the spirit is zeroing in on you. It's all going to be, brought to the forefront. So, all these different antics, clout chasing antics, it's only for so long, man, before the Lord starts to, bring judgment down. Because he did say, well, Peter said it, judgment must begin at the house of the Lord. So you don't want to do anything out of impure motives. And this behavior, going out there and making a scene, marching down the street, 10,000 deep. That's clout chasing. Just based on the very definition you see right here, man. That's all clout chasing. Are you running from this platform to this platform, to this podcast, to that podcast? And you talking about the black community. You talking about issues that so-called black activists talk about. You're not talking about prophecy. You're not talking about the kingdom of heaven that's going to be ushered in over this current world. None of these things, man. You're not talking about the MOTB, the transformation of this current infrastructure into the next one. AI taking over, a global technocracy, the image of the beast. Just anything that appeals to this world. So as you can see, Paul, he denounced that spirit. All right. He wasn't coming in that clout chasing spirit. All right. So that's pretty much what I want to get into in this lesson, especially, building from this definition and then reading what I read in 1 Thessalonians. All right. He's pretty much saying, hey, we've been trusted with the gospel, or the good news. And this is not of ourselves. And we're not doing this to flatter you. We're not doing this for praise. We're not trying to gain clout or anything. Paul, he had to go through it. He had to go through the hardship of preaching in his ministry. And it wasn't easy. All right. He was not trying to gain power or popularity through this. Because you're going to be hated more than loved in this thing of ours, man. So that's pretty much the lesson, and hopefully y'all are edified and give all honor, praise, and glory to Abba Shem Shai. Until the next one, Shalom.